Alright guys, thank you for tuning into a quick video. I'm going to be doing a quick video on the alpha version of Authoria, the auto throttle system I'm working on at the moment. It was decided that it'd be a very nice thing to add for the clients, as well as just more so from what I've experienced and learned in. It makes a little bit more sense to have auto thrust. Or auto throttle, depends on what you want to call it. And what the job of auto throttle, for those who don't know, is you can set a speed and the auto throttle will try and maintain that speed. There's usually in the real world plane, so for Airbus I know the tolerance is between +5 and -5 of the speed you set. Depending on different conditions, etc., the auto throttle may not always be exact on the value, but it will be usually always close. And if a pilot seems to be going too slow, for example, they can simply just pitch down. Of course, there's certain conditions where auto throttle will not be able to maintain a certain speed. Let's say you're pitching the plane at 25 degrees or something ridiculous and you want to go at 500 knots. It's not going to do that. And most Airbus planes, actually, you will be forced to, at one point, the normal law will force you back to the highest pitch level. However, I think auto thrust will carry on pushing at toga. It will not be able, of course, to reach that 500 knots in a normal condition. Other things to know, of course, using auto thrust, if you put auto thrust at a speed that is literally, your stall speed, let's say your stall speed is 120, and you set auto thrust at 120, well, just know that, of course, in a plane, what controls speed more is not your throttle, but it's your pitch. And in the pilot world, they call it pitch to speed up and throttle for altitude. Throttle really only controls the attainable altitude you can really get to, whereas if you're pitching, where you pitch up and down, really does control your speed, because if you pitch down you will speed up as gravity accelerates you and you lose that lift. However, if you pitch up, you tend to slow down. So really what controls your speed is really pitching. In the Boeing planes, their auto trim system is actually used as the pitch trimmer on that side of things as well, but more so they do use auto throttle as well, usually to get the right amount of energy needed, but auto throttle or throttle in general is not always the best way to maintain speed. The most effective way to maintain speed, as I said, is pitch. Anyway, that's really just a small intro on, some knowledge into the planes. So I'm going to taxi. I'm going to taxi right now to the runway, and I'm going to line up for takeoff. There's a plane still a bit in work in progress before I open today for, again, my testers. And I'm going to take off and basically try and demo how this works. And actually, as I'm taxiing, it's worth describing to you what's going on with this. So some of you know there's a pilot log here. I will make that switchable with certain hotkeys again on the keyboard, so that you'll be able to toggle the different displays that will be around here for whatever you want to see. And basically, as we taxi, I'm going to explain right now all of this, so that by the time this is released, no one is confused. So, your flex button right here. Now, the flex button in Airbus, I don't know about Boeing, but I know for Airbus, If you type all the details you need, so temperature of the outside, your plane weight, etc., the I think FMC system will calculate everything, and it will basically give you the flex setting for your thrust that you can use, that will get you off the ground with the least amount of fuel consumption, and thus that's why most planes do not always tow guard unless it's specific conditions. Now, of course, we don't have a full-blown FMC, and I don't intend to do one because not every row aviation pilot is going to have the time to do that. Now, AirX, the simulator that Widgeon's working on, that I'm part of, may not, who knows. But even then, really, what I've done with the flex here is I've given the pilots the option to enter their own flex. Now, this is of course the basic version of autopilot. If you know about extended autopilot, you will be aware that our extended autopilot has its own it will have its own, of course, autothrottle, so there'll be a bit more detail on that side of things. But with our basic one, which is still the same type of system, just a bit more basic. What happens is you can set your flex mode, which is going to be here. You can set your flex mode, and say you had a flex of 90%. Okay, so you needed 90% throttle to take off. You would enter that, and when you press the flex mode, the auto throttle will tween or move your throttle, whatever, up to that 90% without you having to, move up and down to try and find that. Now, your warm is this setting here, and warm is what I like. Most pilots will call, some will call it warm, some will call it stabilized percentage. And what it is you move your throttle up to a certain degree, so I would say 40%, and then you go straight up to the next one you want to move to, which would be 90%, or whatever your flex or your tow is, you move up to that. And you usually do that to make sure that the engine stabilizes, because you don't want asymmetric thrust, and then you go straight in. Of course, I haven't done those at the moment, but that's how it would work. You would enter those, and then when you press flex, it would basically display what's here, there. If you clicked warm, it would tween up there. Okay. Tow guard, of course, is going to be your 100%. It will tween 100%. And your idle, of course, is, to put it straight to 0%. Now, this display will not show when, or these buttons will not show when the auto thrust is on, for the simple reason of you don't want the auto trim, which is auto thrust, sorry, which is controlling your throttle and everything. You don't want it being disturbed, and it will most likely ignore your inputs anyway. So what it will do is it will hide that bit when it's done. Anywho, what I'm gonna do now is also the final last thing I almost forgot was this is the landing speed. So the difference between the actual auto throttle, which is this part, and the landing one is if you use the landing setting, when your plane gets to around say 50, on Airbus it's 30 feet, so I'm going to aim for 30 feet. When you get to 30 feet on the radiometer, it will set the thrust to idle automatically if you're using the landing phase of the Authoria Autothrottle. If you're not, and you use this, which is the constant autothrottle, and this is where you use it really in the air, where you're not coming into land, it will not do that. And so when you do land, you have to turn that off, and it might be an issue, of course, if you're trying to get that nice flare or whatever, etc. So if you're going to be using anything for your landing, I ideally would set this as basically, my toga speed. You have the option to click toggle, or you have the option, of course, to set the speed you want, your go around speed here, and do that. I would advise when you've had your time and you found out what your approach speed would usually be, I'd advise setting that there and setting your go around speed here when that's done. So anyway, I'm going to use this system to I'm going to use to take off today. Of course, ideally you probably wouldn't want to do that for the specific reason of really it will always give you toga frost usually. On the extended autopilot version there will be a way to, of course, to limit the amount of thrust, max thrust that can be attained to on the extended autopilot version. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. So I like the speed I'm seeing here, 180. As you can see, I've set 180, but nothing's happening, and the clear reason is it's just not turned on the auto thrust. So I'm just making sure I'm lined up there. I believe my flaps are down. Now I can set what I'm doing. Oopsie. There we go. Thrust is set. Taking control of myself. And there we go. As you can see, there's an overrun of a bit. It will try and maintain so now it's roughly maintaining the speed. I need it to maintain around 180. Of course, as they do turns and stuff, the autothrottle will try and work against that to make sure that the stuff I'm doing is fine. I'm gonna notice that I'm gonna need a bit of auto trim. As you see, because my speed went up, the throttle went down. Then it's gonna put toga because I'm trying to climb very high, and so it sees that I need more power. And as I continue to climb, it will keep that at toga until I drop the nose, get some speed, or my speed, reaches the 180 buffer, and then it will reduce. Okay, so that's what the auto throttle is supposed to do. It will continue to regulate the throttle around there. So I don't have to touch the throttle right now. I can comfortably have this flying at 180 or around 180 with no issues. Now, of course, the main reason when we are pitching up, of course, is because we have the flaps on 15 and they do create drag. At the moment, I believe they do create slightly too much drag, so I will be tuning that out. But yes, as I said, everything that you see on the plane in terms of surfaces, engines, etc., they realistically have their own physics going on. So we're gonna try something I've not tried before, and we're gonna try to land this plane. And so I'm going to go here and set this to a landing speed I feel comfortable with. There we go. And it's going to try and maintain Wolf 140 for me. I hope this works fine enough on approach. It should be stable enough on the approach. The more painful thing is just, of course, making sure I don't do too much jittery movements so that autothrottle doesn't have to work too much. But it's doing a pretty good job right now. We are kind of too high, so I am going to probably at some point end up diving, which is going to change this. And funny enough, not having a pilot log doesn't really help here, um, because I can't really see what I'm doing. As you can see now, because we're pitching down, the speed is increasing, and thus the auto throttle is responding. But they're not. It's not going completely to 0%, because if it went to 0% now, I'd probably stall, which is the good thing about the auto thrust. I'm not touching the throttle at all, and it's a joy basically not to be concerned with the throttle at this point. I can now just focus on flying. Gonna put the gears down. As expected, the CG. As expected, the CG changes. It's put the thrust down now, as you can see, but it's slowly bringing it up because it's noticing I am in desperate need of it. It will bring it up way before we reach the store of 120, which is great. So we are in safe hands pretty much with the Autothrottle system. I am now going to try and maintain my approach. As you can see, auto trim is just needed one minor tweak, so that when I do click the middle mouse button, she's more responsive. Tuning the systems that work with this in terms of the automation it does take a lot of time if you don't know what you're doing, but there are certain methods. So as you can see on the approach, it just feels so much better not having to touch the throttle. I'm pretty much approaching down, it's maintaining my speed. As I'm starting to make my descent, it's going to control that. Of course, I'm going to realize now that I am not using the landing mode of this, and thus I'm going to quickly go. Oopsie, I forgot that.
Minimum 100 above.
That's my problem. I almost forgot that I didn't
100.
have the. I was in mouse mode. Oops.
50, 40, 30, 20.
That's a very disappointing landing. Gonna go around. I do not know what happened there, so we're gonna go around to make that repeat on the circular side. So for some reason, of course, we're coming in for landing, and of course, as I said to you, if you're using a constant mode, you're gonna realize when you're coming at the threshold, oh, how am I going to change it so it slows down, or how am I going to turn it off? You won't be able to, of course. You won't be able to do that at all, of course, unless of course there's you're using the landing mode phase, which isn't done at the moment, so I haven't completely coded that in. I'm going to get it to maintain now, and I'm going to this time press L, so that was what I did forget. I'm going to go set my landing speed to 135. Take control now. So we're in landing mode now, which should make things a lot more easier to glide onto the runway, etc. Again, as I said, the flaps are pretty flinky, which is why I'm having a bit more, of course, difficulties with the plane on approach. Again, the same issue I just realized now is that when I do come in for the approach, there won't be a way to slow down the plane, but that's fine. I'm going to set the auto trim there, so I do have full authority. As my approach comes in, I probably am a bit too high on the glide, but we should be fine.
Minimum 100 above.
100 above.
100.
100.
50.
50. I should have dropped it.
40. 30. 20.
And she's down. Okay. Alrighty. So, as you see, there was a great demonstration of what not to do with auto throttle. And actually, I believe there have been a few crashes actually real world with just improper use of auto throttle, or not good knowledge with the auto throttle. I believe, for example, the CFO crash with Asiana's 777, let's say that. It was somewhat partially due to the pilots not understanding how the auto throttle worked, but more so they weren't really looking at their speed meter to realize they were below airspeed, so they relied too much on the auto throttle. There have been a few incidents as well with auto throttle in terms of just either not understanding how it works or predicting what can go wrong. In this case, as you saw, we had to make a go around. The go around was really actually not mainly to the auto throttle's fault. It was actually more so just how the flaps physics were a bit jittery, because I have made some changes because the wings are now actually functioning. For some reason, in the last update video I made, I didn't know that the wings were not actually active, so everything was flying from, unrealistically, yes, and impossibly, the horizontal stabilizer. So now that the wings are on, I have to make a lot of adjustments to the flaps, because I believe they're producing miles more lift, because when I was using flap 30 just now as it came in, it felt very very heavy. Very very strong in terms of lift, which it shouldn't be, and you can see it visibly from the speed. Even the takeoff flaps kill speed a lot more than they would real world, so I believe it's probably a 50% reduction in the amount of lift I need to do, and then it should be done. But auto throttle, as you've seen, is pretty effective, especially coming on approach if you use the right one. So for your next one, make sure to use the top version, this version, and it will of course notify you when you're on the right version, and use that version, because if you use that version, once you get to 30 feet altitude, it will idle the plane automatically for you, and after it idles, it will turn itself off, which will allow you to put the reversers on without having to go and click that, which is miles better, because all you have to now focus on is get the plane on the runway, press your reversers, get off the runway, let someone else use it. Anyway, I hope this video was worth watching, and I hope to see you guys in another video. Thank you again to all our clients, our A350 clients and our A380 clients, every client to be honest, for sticking around with us. We know, of course, us and our battle with Roblox and um, our wonderful physics aircrafts do need a lot of TLC. And thus, with the improvements, I mean, as I'm telling you, flying this plane compared to the previous versions is miles better. I really enjoy flying the A350. I mean, I've always enjoyed flying the A350. I know I will enjoy flying the A380 when her time comes. And then our new aircraft, yeah, everyone knows that I'm very, very excited for our new aircraft, more especially the 777. And I'm hoping when we do have our vote for who wants the 777 or the 777-87 this year, I'm hoping it goes. But whatever the decision is, it's fine by me. But anyway, that's really it. Oh, and the last thing, if you're watching this video today, there may be a secret that I will happily reveal right now. So Aeson aims by the 777 or the 787, whatever one comes out. We aim to actually reduce our activity at AHA. Reason why is I am looking at making a new airport base for Aeson, because as you know, AHA has been a staple airport for quite a while now, but using this airport, as you see, even with the taxi lines and etc., AHA was never really ever meant for our big planes and the stuff we're doing now. This airport here was built by a great person called Aquifer. Other people know him as Hardscope, a very talented builder who uses CSG and mesh, and he built this for his airline, which was called Overcast. And basically, this airline is a private jet airline. And as you can see, if you look at the airport in terms of the taxiway, other than the runway I massively extended, it's primarily built for private jet planes. And so, trying to park this wide body isn't going to, be pretty possible without a lot of struggling and a lot of shifting. But it does show to us that we eventually, for time, I will need to look at another airport when we do start getting more of these planes in. So basically, there is a plan to make a new airport for Aeson. I do not have the name, and of course there is no plan at all to sell AHA at all ever, because I respect Hardscope and I respect the great the great decision and the friendly decision he didn't have to do for allowing Aeson to have AHA to use for our testing things. And I do not believe that using his airport to go and sell it to anyone makes any sense. If I want to sell an airport, I should make one. So there might be a possibility that I might sell my new airport, which will be an international type airport. It will be concept based, so it's not going to be primarily based on an airport. So look away now if that's what you were looking for. It will be pretty nice looking, I believe, and with a decent amount of scenery. I think I will make some features, of course, that will allow the person to control in slight form how the scenery shows up for that airport. But yes, there might be a chance for me to sell my new airport. However, it's not going to be mass sold because I don't want it to be overused and I don't want it to be everywhere. But yeah, there might be a chance. there'll be more details, of course, and also one of the copies will be a giveaway, because we haven't done a giveaway in a while, and I don't really want to give away the planes because people actually bought them. But the airport, because it's a different type of thing where there isn't pre-orders, etc. I'd be possibly definitely looking to give away one of the airport copies as well. So yeah, it's gonna be fun, of course. And anyway, that wraps up our video on this early Autothrottle, known as Authoria. If you enjoyed watching me almost, actually I probably did crash. If you enjoyed watching me slam the plane in on the first time, don't worry, that's the last time you'll see that. At least from me, I hope, in any video. But thank you for watching, and see you next time.